for real sat dollar parity, for the dollar to lose all its value, or for Bitcoin to become very popular. In fact, Luke Burrows and I talked about it earlier today. I believe it is most likely sometime between 2030 and 2038. We can only guess based on the cycles, the timing, and the fact that the contractions are getting harder and closer together as the days go by. I use the idea that Strauss came up with the fourth turning as a model to get to the years 2020, 2020, 2030, 388. I set the start of this fourth turning at 2008, which is how I got to those years. Some fourth turnings have been as short as 7 to 10 years during the Civil War. Now, they tend to last between 15 and 20 years, and sometimes even 30 years. Think about it this way: 2028 will be 20 years, and 2038 will be 30 years, so we're not at 20 yet. I believe that this money system will not work after 2038, not even close. In favor of good money, Great Lepard, an investment manager at Equity Management Associates who loves Bitcoin. As the head of a gold stock fund and an advocate of sound money, Lepard spent decades telling investors that investing in gold was the best way to protect themselves from fiat currencies losing value all the time. But since Bitcoin came along, it's easier for him to do his job because Bitcoin is a better option, a digital gold that protects against fiat debasement and has many other useful features that gold doesn't have. Lepard gave a very optimistic price prediction for Bitcoin in a recent interview with Gold Republic. He said that the top cryptocurrency will one day be worth millions of dollars per coin. Not only are paper currencies continuing to lose value, but people are also becoming more worried that things will get worse in the next few years. During his conversation with Alexei Jordanov, Lepard gave a very optimistic range of years from 2028 to 2038 for the financial system to completely fall apart and Bitcoin to become the standard around the world. Lepard uses the Strauss-Howe generational theory to figure out when the current cycle started and when it is most likely to end in order to predict this event. He says that when the financial system almost crashed in 2008, it started a new cycle that is moving quickly, especially when you consider the world's $315 trillion in debt. Lepard thinks that in the next few years, the world will go from having inflation to having hyperinflation and then to hyperbitcoinization. This is when Bitcoin becomes the main currency in most countries, if not all of them. Some parts of Lepard's conversation with Gold Republic will be shown here. In them, he talks about Bitcoin, the state of the US, and global economies, and the move toward a global Bitcoin standard. When Israel had a problem like this, they did something like this. Second, they would do a one-time restart of the money supply, like Roosevelt did. He took the gold and lowered its value, which made the dollar 70% less valuable in terms of gold overnight. Someone smart in the government might understand, hey, this money system is broken. We need to fix it, which is why they're going to split the dollar 10 times for one. And old dollars are worth $10, while new dollars are worth $1. The new dollar is backed by gold, oil, a basket of currencies, or something else that can't be made, so it's safe. Otherwise, the whole thing will fail. Do you understand? What else is there? It's like Mad Max. Yes, it won't be Mad Max, but there will be a lot of chaos and hyperinflation for a very short time. In that case, Bitcoin would be worth a lot more, and the dollar would be worth a lot less. But in the end, it comes back to what I said earlier in the interview. When most people agree that the dollar is worthless, it's good for transactions but not much else, they'll do what people in Weimar, Germany did in 1922. As soon as they get a dollar, they'll exchange it for something else. It's like a hot potato, no one wants to hold it. They want to leave right away. It is known as Gresham's Law. You're getting rid of money that you know will lose value and buying money that you know will keep its value or even grow it. So that process will speed up. And just like with Silicon Valley Bank, everyone all of a sudden said, holy crap, this bank is bankrupt, I need to get my money out of there. It might happen quickly. It might happen very quickly. Because we're all so linked through the internet and social media, don't rule out the chance that it could happen quickly and before 2030. It becomes self-fulfilling when everyone in the country knows the currency is a joke and losing value. This is because the currency is the way we all trust to pay for things, but it should also keep its value over the medium term. We've shown that it can debase 7% a year for a long time and still be alive, but once it starts, it's 50% a month. And there have been more than 100 hyperinflations in the last 200 years. However, the one we're having now in Turkey is pretty mild. Venezuela had a very bad one, and their money lost all of its value. There have been many other times like this. I mean, you just go through Hungary or Zimbabwe. There are a lot of them. They all seem to have the same pattern. The currency starts to fall, slowly at first, then faster with bigger changes. Soon everyone is like, oh, this is it. I'm out of here now that I don't have this in my hands. It's kind of amazing. I mean, if you look at the camera, I think I was doing some math. You can see what people were buying and how much things cost in Turkish. Is that a Turkish franc? The Turkish lira? I'm sorry, yes. And because of the Turkish lira, things cost about 200 times more now than they did a few years ago. Well, it's clear that some of them are just thinking, hey, look, we can get 20 bips on trillions of dollars. Let's go do it. Some of them seem to kind of get it and understand it. It's a common mistake that many of them will make. For example, a rich friend of mine recently told me, I don't know, man. I was talking when it was 50,000. I don't know, man. My average cost much lower. God, you told me about it when I was 25. I should have bought it then. It's up 100%. How do I get it? I told him, dude, you don't get it, okay. Does it matter if you paid $50 or $25 for $1 million? Obviously, it's important. You got more than twice as much. But the point is that it's getting so much higher. So I think a lot of people on Wall Street will do the stupid thing and sell it when it's up 200%. Do you understand? I think a lot of people will make that mistake because they don't really know what they believe. They also don't really know how far this can go. So, that's fine. That's their right to do. You've been studying and working in this field for a while now, so you know that it takes time to fully understand how important this is and how much it will continue to go up for a very long time. Laura, sales will keep going up. And I'll give you a great example. A lot of cases have been used. I bought Microsoft when it first went public, which was around 1984, right? 85 when it became public, right? I made 3 times as much money. There was a condo I needed to buy. Did I sell it? That was a mistake, right? Because it was the hardware that the PC software ran on. In the end, the Apple and everything else came out. But the point is that I felt great when I left. I got a 300%. I've made a few times my money, right? You don't sell something that is so important that it will change things over many years or decades. You don't sell it. It's kind of like, as Saylor said, real estate in Manhattan. It's the most important business hub in the United States, For example, if you came in 1,700, you'd feel like the Dutch did. But if you came in 1,800, you'd feel like the farmers, like the British did in the 1,700s, got a good deal because you paid 10 times what they did. But guess what? It has worked at every level to buy a fixed quantity of Manhattan real estate. It's going down now, and the city was like, yeah, there's a crisis in 74, the city is a mess. There were needles in the streets, tax revolts of all kinds, and so on. You could get a building for almost nothing, and some very smart people did the same. They're also very rich now. But, it's an object whose value will keep going up because there aren't many of them. Still, you have to live, and I think that being a rich millionaire, billionaire, or whatever else is also short-sighted. For example, I know people who, if they had $1 million on each coin, might say, I need to lighten up a bit here, I'd like to take a holiday, but I don't know how much one will cost. However, you should be careful what you wish for, because, we could have a $10 billion or $10 million Bitcoin, but in the same way, gasoline could cost $100. Okay, it's kind of like a chunk of the debasement that's happening, which is what's making Bitcoin acceptance also make nominal prices go up. I think Wall Street will take a while to figure it out. It's also funny,